Hello, welcome to a mini here at Soulprint. Thank you very, very much for being here. You did not miss anything. There was not a video released on Tuesday morning. Okay, so somewhere along the whole, Trump stuff got hacked or the campaign stuff got hacked. There was talk about Roger Stone's either his phone or messages, but somehow his name was brought up in that sort of situation. And, it made me kind of wonder what is Roger Stone doing? And more importantly, what is the government doing about what Roger Stone's doing? And, I mean, there's all kinds of things that are going on, right? You've got that whole concern about the electorates in various various great swing states. Oh my goodness, my mouth isn't working. Um, who have decided they're just not going to certify the election. Although it's abundantly clear that if they try that, they're just going to get their butts dragged into court, and in all likelihood get charged and end up like with some serious repercussions. However, so it made me wonder what is going on literally in Homeland Security and the FBI and I don't know, the CIA, whatever other alphabet organization there is, who would be monitoring and watching this stuff. Because they are not going to get caught sort of flat-footed the way they were in 2020, right? They're just not. So I want to see if the cards will just give me a little bit of insight into what's going on behind the scenes in terms of um doing the things that need to keep the elections secure, um so that there aren't concerns. Now, as far as I can tell energetically, there's going to be a huge blue wave um when all the tallies are counted and the results are in. So they are going to have a hard time on the other side trying to project a situation where votes were stolen from them or things were lost or whatever it is, because the numbers are just going to be too big to argue with. Having said that, um what's the government doing? Because you got to figure they're doing something. So let's see if we can find out. Also, while I'm just thinking about it, make sure that you have checked your voter registration. I'm going to keep on saying it over and over again because I have to tell you, I'm not even convinced that if you check it today and it's there, if you check it next month, it won't be there. So it's something you're just going to need to be really like proactive about. All right, let's find out what we can find out. Behind the scenes security, behind the scenes security, behind the scenes security. All righty, here we go. You're starting off with the Page of Cups, all right? So this is literally um, good news, right? And it's talking about the good news is that the government is on this. Like you have to realize, like they have people embedded in these organizations all over the place, right? There are embedded agents in, I don't know, um, certain swing states, electorates, maybe. There might be some who have become embedded into the mega, cult. So, obviously, but where we're at right now is starting to recognize that, you know what? there is a lot of stuff that is in shadow. We can't see it. And frankly, the more like a lunatic, I'm not calling him one, that Trump gets, the more there's going to be kind of a push behind the scenes from the Trump. Um, they're going to be ramping up, right? Everything they can do to, create the impression that this election swung to Trump, because they recognize literally, week by week, that his position is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. Okay, so they have protection in place. They're mindful of the fact that there's a lot going on behind the scenes and sort of in the shadows, but that's not going to um it's not going to be able to gain the momentum it wants to gain. What do we have here? The Seven of Swords. So, you know, they're going to try to get away with certain things, and they're not going to get away with certain things. It's going to be caught. It's going to be stopped. There's going to be just a how do I want to say this? Like a harnessing or a corralling of that lower vibration, cheating, stealing energy. It's not going to be able to sort of take root. Now, I'm not saying that in different places there aren't mega people who would, just about do anything to get Trump back in office. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is there's far more awareness now than there certainly was in 2020. And even in 2022 on the midterms, where things had already started to tighten up. But they're on it. I guess that's what I want to say is they're on it. Four of Cups. It has been, it's sort of been like it's been a bit of a challenge. It's been difficult in some ways to get the people in where they need to get in while still protecting the things that need to be protected. There is concern that, you know what, listen, this is the thing. It's not, thank you already. Sometimes they just piddle around, and if you could just get to the point, that would be so helpful. Here's the point. There are mega people out there. There may even be a lone wolf or two out there. And while they are a concern because they are more volatile, right? Where there is equal, not different, but equal attention being paid are literally to the Roger Stones and the whoever else, Steve Bannon. Okay, he's in jail right now, but you have to believe that he was being monitored pretty closely. And when he gets out on, I don't know, 3 or 4 days or a day or two before the election, they're going to be right on him again. But there are all kinds of people who have a better understanding of how the government works, and they have a clearer understanding of where kind of the chinks in the armor are and where there are weak spots that they can push against. Now, as I said, in the last 4 years, there has been a lot of energy and effort put into shoring up those weak spots and making them strong. But those are the people that are actually more of a concern. The ones that were meeting in, whatever that hotel was in 2020 and, plotting and making decisions. I mean, why does Roger Stone need a bodyguard? Let's just ask ourselves that. Apparently he thinks he does. Mike Flynn, that's another one. Um, there's these people who are so driven and so determined to to do whatever needs to be done to create the kind of reality that they want created. And that's not likely to work, but they are being monitored and they're not kind of getting away with what they think they're getting away with. All right. And I'm reminded of things like I don't know, like phone taps, surveillance, where if you have somebody who demonstratively was on that side of the fence 4 years ago, you kind of have to think that it probably wouldn't be that hard to get authorization to monitor these people quite closely. This is what, in the final analysis, you want to remember. Ultimately, justice wins. As a result, the sun comes out. And as a result of that, a lot of the stuff that has been concerning is going to come to an end. So there can literally be a new beginning in the United States that isn't built around fear and anxiety and terror and hate. So it's important in these times to just, first of all, don't lose your focus. All right. You need to be doing whatever it is you can be doing to ensure that you have this election turn out the way you want it to. It's important that you don't get caught up in a lot of kind of nonsense that gets you worried and anxious, because a lot of it is just being manufactured, like literally for clickbait. Okay. And so you want to be careful that you're not kind of getting sucked into that world. Listen, Trump had that interview with Elon Musk. Apparently, I didn't hear any of it, mostly because I can't actually tolerate Trump's voice anymore. Um, but apparently it was just like this rambling conversation, and he wasn't kind of getting to a point. And there are some people saying that the decline is becoming more and more pronounced, and the um so that's sort of like the cognitive abilities, and then you have the whole narcissistic behavior that's layered on top of that. But if anybody thought, like Trump or his campaign thought, that there's apparently like what, an hour and 26-minute long chat um swayed one voter who was not on the Trump side to go, you know what? He's the guy. He's my guy. It's not happening, because every time he opens his mouth, every time he says something, it's just pointing out the inadequacies. I don't know if any of you saw the picture of sort of what Trump looked like while he was undergoing this phone call, and literally he was like, so the arms are crossed, right, and he's like this, like not an expression, not a reaction. In fact, it looks sort of like he might be just nodding off. So that's not exactly the energy that's going to attract people who are, maybe still undecided. So where you're at right now is what? I don't know, 82, 83 days away from the election. This is when you get focused. This is when you, figure out what you can do and get doing it. Make sure you're checking your voter registration, and just take some comfort from the fact that government organizations, truly, they were caught flat-footed in 2020, because they they just, there was chatter going on, and there was whatever, but there was still that sort of feeling of, that's a line he wouldn't cross. just would not cross it. And so some of the stuff simply wasn't being taken seriously because it was like you couldn't convince anybody that, yeah, actually he would cross that line. Well, guess what? They know better now. Boy, oh boy, they sure do know better now. And so when he says things, they take him at his word. And there is a lot of energy going into um, sort of keeping the homeland protected, keeping elections safe and secure. Project 25 has amped up the kind of anxiety about what might happen if he gets into office, although you can see that Project 25 has already started to creep back because they're recognizing the fact that, well, some of the elite might think it hunky dory. General people, just average people, including Republicans, think that what they're talking about is insanity. They're talking about a dictatorship. They're talking about take over the government. They're talking about turning Trump into, the supreme leader or the king. So they're paying attention now in ways that they weren't paying attention before. And they have been working on this. Oh, I want to probably say since January 7th of 2021. Um, so this is the time for you to focus on you and doing what you can do. And just kind of take a couple of deep breaths, step back, and trust that um, the people who are tasked with protecting you, elections, the country, are doing their job. It's just as simple as that. Their job is getting done. They know what the enemy is at this point. They know what the challenges are, and they're taking care of it. Okay? All right. Um, hold on a sec. They're telling me at this point, energetically, there's going to be two areas or it's not even the state. It's like two precincts or whatever they're called, like a voting area that are going to, of all of them, it feels like there's two that are going to sort of try to dig their heels in. And it's not going to work because literally, the people who are on it from a legal standpoint already have that paperwork working and processing and ready to go if somebody doesn't do what they're supposed to do. So even if when you're hearing about things about, this is scary because they could screw up the election, just breathe through it because there's people working on the inside, there's people working from outside, and there's people working from a legal standpoint. So I guess for the rest of you, citizens of the United States, you have to work on what you need to work on. And that's making sure that you do everything possible to create a blue tsunami. Right? Take really good care of yourself. And I look forward to seeing you again. Until next time, take care and be well. Bye-bye.